As someone that's known for helping others create their most deeply fulfilling life, I will help you do the same. Hi, I'm Kim Shambaugh, board-certified holistic health practitioner. Welcome to the show. Today's episode is brought to you by the Never Settle Lifestyle 30-Day Kickstart. Let's all be honest and admit the fact that figuring out a wellness program can be very confusing. There's all sorts of conflicting information, and it's really hard to know where to begin. It can be overwhelming to feel like you have to be doing everything all at once. This is a program that makes it very simple. How it works is you'll spend 30 days practicing the 6 key habits that will move everything else in your life forward. You are what you repeatedly do, and your habits are going to determine your outcomes. So you might as well get intentional. The habits that we'll be practicing are good nutrition, hydration, movement, personal growth, self-reflection, and sleep. Inside of this program, you have simple, comprehensive guides, downloads, videos, and more to make sure that you have a clear understanding of how to simply incorporate these things into your life without making things more complicated. You'll have access to a habit tracker as well as my virtual studio complete with meditations, breath work, EFT tapping, and group access. Check out the link below for more. Hello, my sweet friend. Welcome to today's episode. I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you for joining me today. Okay, quick little life catch up, and we're gonna get into some fun things today. So this summer has been wonderful. I have done the least, and I'm so happy about it. Oh my gosh. So I've started a garden. This summer, I really just needed some time for myself. I needed to kind of just like cut back on all the noise in my life. If you guys have been there, you know what I mean? And so yeah, I have been up in my house. I have been reading and studying a lot. We're gonna get to this in just a second. I've been working really hard behind the scenes and just having a lot of fun, chilling out, being in nature, being with my husband and my dogs, hanging out with friends, going to the lake, just very, simple living. I'm getting back to nature, I guess you could say. And I have cut back on my screen time massively. I mean, quite a bit. I've probably cut it in half, truth be told. And I feel like a new human being. I'm thinking my own thoughts, I'm doing my thing and not worrying so much. The anxiety is much quieter, so life is good. So I do have an announcement. I am so excited to share with you guys that I am officially a board certified holistic health practitioner. I worked really hard on this, and I'm very excited to finally have a title that encompasses all of the expertise that I have. If you guys have been around for any length of time, you know that I do quite a bit of things, and this really does sum it up. So if you're new here, I'm a nutrition specialist, I am a skincare expert, and I specialize in fascia and energy work and so much more, mind-body connection. So I really was excited to finally have a title that, bolsters everything up and just encompasses it all. So I am board certified through the American Association of Natural Practitioners. So just gonna toot my own horn for just a second about that, because your girl has earned it. Okay, today we are gonna be talking all about cellular health. So the cells of your body. Did you know that every 7 years, all of your cells completely renew themselves? So in essence, every 7 years, you have an entirely new body. So I want you to think about it this way. If you have something about your physicality that is just not working for you, whether it's health, aesthetic, brain fog, whatever, please understand, especially from somebody that has been there and works very closely with people across the world that have also been there, you can change this, all right? So we're gonna talk a little bit about how to do this today. So when we talk about how you feel, that level of vitality is a direct reflection of your cellular health. And the level of that vitality is determined by how intentional you are with your wellness practices. Specifically today, we're gonna be talking about food. The food that you eat is literally the 3D printer for every single cell of your body. So think of your cells like an orchestra working together and creating a beautiful symphony. And when this symphony is in harmony, you feel really freaking good. Now, the conductor of this orchestra is the food that you consume. So the goal is to get the symphony in harmony and have you feel your absolute best so you can live your beautiful life and feel as vital as possible. Maybe you suffer from chronic pain or a chronic disease, or maybe you've been sick in the past, or maybe you have food intolerances. So you know what it feels like to have a bad day. And the hardest thing sometimes for me to witness is when people feel so bad, sometimes they totally forget what it feels like to feel good. So let this entire episode be a challenge to you today to step your game up a little bit and let yourself see how good it can get by getting really intentional about the way that you're taking care of yourself. And this isn't just doing what you've been told, this is really listening to your intuition and sitting back and reflecting and always asking the question, how is that working for me? It could be after you have that heavily processed meal. It could be after you have a conversation with somebody that you know you need to create some proximity from. Start to pay attention and see how these things are affecting your vitality. So the thing about your cells is that they're always communicating to impact your glandular function, which impacts your hormones, your level of inflammation, and even your gene expression. So if you've always used the excuse, oh, it runs in my family, please understand that thanks to epigenetics and certain foods that you eat and the way that you take care of yourself, you can start to put yourself back in the driver's seat. Your cells make up tissues, and tissues make up every single organ of your body. So think of it this way. Regulated cellular behavior, when left unchecked, will turn into tissue dysfunction. If that keeps going, this turns into organ level dysfunction, and if that keeps going, this can turn into disease. So let's start by getting real and talking about the quality of your food. If you guys have been around for any length of time, you know that I'm not a purist. At the same time, we have to have a serious conversation about the quality of food that you're fueling yourself with, because it's absolutely going to make an impact on the outcome of your health. So the way that we view food, we can think about it, instead of it being good or bad, we can think of it on a spectrum in terms of good, better, best. Because let's be real, some food is better than no food because it keeps you alive and it's better than the alternative. So on that far end, we have heavily processed foods. So these are foods that have been denatured. So taken away from nature, stripped down, and had something added back into it. Typically fortified nutrients that are heavily chemically processed. We have binders, we have oils that are usually man-made and heavily inflammatory. We have sugars, we have flavorings, and chemicals of all kinds that have a cascade effect on the body, and especially depending on you and your specific sensitivities, will make an impact. Ultimately, processed foods will spike blood sugar, causing dysregulation in the systems. They will inflame cells, and chronic inflammation ultimately can lead to that dysregulation. But the biggest thing is that heavily processed foods leave you craving more, often because it is devoid of the nutrients that our body actually needs. So when we have these nutritional gaps, even though we're full of calories, we are still nutritionally deficient. So this is where food noise comes from. So when it comes to food noise, it's very emotional. There's an emotional component to it, but at the same time, there are heavily palatable foods, usually processed foods, that help to immediately self-soothe. They give us that hit of dopamine, but long-term can cause a cascade of effects from dysregulation, disease, and obesity. So this is what happens when we keep doing the same things day in, day out, and you look up and it's been 5 years and you've gained however many pounds. We'll talk about how to self-regulate and work through those emotions at another time, but just understand that this is a component and goes hand in hand with processed food. So what exactly is heavily processed food? I'm not talking about your 7-ingredient protein or your date and nut bar. That's not what I'm saying here. These are food-like substances that have been stripped and chemically altered. I am very sorry to break it to you, but there is not a Pringle tree or Dorito bush anywhere that I know of. We're talking about food-like substances that have been stripped and chemically altered, treated, and modified to be the most palatable version of that food. So think of foods like crackers, pastries, frozen pizza, cookies, ice cream typically. And if you're not sure, read the ingredients. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. So usually you'll see ingredients that are very high in sugar. You will see enriched flour, you will see seed oils, and seed oils are canola oil, peanut oil, cottonseed oil, safflower oil, etc. So let's talk about real food. Real food is going to nourish and inform your cells with the necessary vitamins and nutrients that your body needs. So the things that are essential to keep this symphony of cells functioning. There are many vitamins and minerals that keep your systems highly functioning. When we eat these foods, our blood sugar is typically far more stabilized. We are satiated, meaning that we're satisfied after eating the meal. And this is because they have a healthy amount of proteins, healthy fats, complex carbohydrates, fiber, and phytonutrients. These foods help to balance your hormones naturally, they repair tissue, and calm inflammation, bringing you more vitality. It's really interesting, anytime I have a client that comes in and they have a sugar addiction or a heavily processed food addiction, usually here's how it goes. The first 2 weeks are really tough because the gut is actually communicating through the vagus nerve to the brain, telling you that you want more of that heavily palatable food. But the thing is, if you really focus on eating whole foods, real foods that are very nutrient dense, and you start to weed out some of that sugar and processed food, you will notice after that 2-week mark that those cravings absolutely go away. It's not easy, but that is how you can do it. So what is real food exactly? Real food comes from nature. It comes from the earth. So the way that I like to think about it is, could the food come from a farm? Could it be hunted? Could you fish for it? If you read the ingredients label, would a 12-year-old be able to tell you what the food is and where it came from? If so, that means it's real and it's not some man-made substance. So usually you'll find these foods on the perimeter of the grocery store. You have produce, you have meat, you have eggs, you have dairy, versus the packaged foods that are in the aisles of the grocery store. So this isn't a perfect science, but that is a way that you can think about it. So on that spectrum of good, better, best, we have heavily processed foods, and on that other end, we have real food. Think of it this way. Heavily processed foods equal inflammation, dysregulation, imbalanced blood sugar, and empty calories, leaving you wanting more. While real foods are going to be nutrient dense, they're going to be fuel for energy, very satiating, and they're going to give you more energy. So this isn't about demonizing certain foods, again, as good or bad, but we look at it on a spectrum. This isn't about being perfect. It's just about eating real food most of the time. A simple question that I like to ask when I'm eating or when I'm teaching someone how to eat for metabolic health is to ask the question about an hour or so after you eat, how did that make me feel? Did it give me more energy? Do I feel more vital? Do I feel more awake? If the answer is yes, do more of those things. But if it leaves you with cravings, if it leaves you wanting food just a few hours after eating, your blood sugar is unstable. If you're having cravings for sugar, your blood sugar is unstable. And when this is left unchecked, this is going to manifest in some form or fashion of some health condition. And that's just the way that it works. The whole point is to do the best you can with your resources and the knowledge that you have. The next time you go to the grocery store, here's what I want you to do. I want you to turn the food over and I want you to read the ingredients. Read through them and see if you know what all the ingredients are. And it's likely if you can't pronounce them, if you don't know what they are, if you don't know where it comes from, you can probably make a better choice. Get really intentional with the way that you're living and your daily habits and let the results speak for themselves. It doesn't have to be complicated, you just have to get started. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you next time. Thank you for tuning in to the Never Settle Life podcast. If you enjoyed it, please share it with somebody that you think will enjoy it as well. Of course, leave us that 5-star rating and review and hit that subscribe button. We will see you next time.